Okay, we are back with the conclusion of the Love Yourself Tear album, and we're here. The last song is called Outro Tear. This has been an interesting experiment on my end. As most of you know, I normally do these things live, and I have you guys to bounce ideas and thoughts and questions and things like that off. But by doing this myself, I finally just finished up this album maybe 5-6 hours ago, something like that. Doing reactions this way has afforded me the time to really let a song sink in, digest with it for a while, see how it makes me feel and what I think, and then walk away for 20 minutes, a half hour, an hour, and then come back and continue. I don't know if I like it more. I don't think that I do. I think I prefer to have the company of the army here with me. But it's been interesting doing this one alone. The album has been kind of all over the place so far. We started off in a somber, kind of dark place, in a very real, very raw, very emotional place. And then we quickly turned things up a little bit, and we changed things around towards the second half of the album, where we got introductions to more EDM, Spanish flair, and even just straight up almost like techno songs like So What, like we just listened to. And here we are, we're at the end of the album with the song Outro Tear. I don't know how they're gonna wrap all this up into one package. This album so far seems like it's kind of spread out, and it's a bunch of different messages and lessons, and almost it seems like they're talking to themselves, and it's like their inner dialogue at some parts. It's been a very, very interesting album so far. Definitely different than Her. So far, the tones in this album almost seem a little bit more cinematic and darker in some spots. It's not quite as, bright and as polished as the first adaptation or the first part of this album, Her. It's been interesting. And I've been surprised every step of the way. As soon as I think that I figured out the formula and I think I know where they're going, I know what they're going to say, or I know how they're going to approach a certain melody or a certain verse or whatever, like they tend to flip things up and just turn them around and do something completely different. Now, these things are done by design. They know the way that we're thinking. They know that we know that there's how their song structure is normally done, especially from like an approach of electronica or an electronic kind of dance break. I mean, there's really only so many ways you can take that, especially when you're sticking to the same format of 4 of a 4, or 4 on the floor is what I was going to say. Essentially the same thing. So it's been different. It's been very, very different. But what I really take away from this album is how surprised I've been almost at every single song. I don't expect the choruses. The verses are always different. The production's been pretty wild. And even the beat map, all the beats and everything has been really, really strange too, by introducing weird sounds that really shouldn't work, by using, a chirping noise, a wood block, and even a whistle in some songs. It's been a pretty experimental album, and I really wasn't expecting that. I've heard the art album. I consider Wings their art album. I thought after hearing Love Yourself, Her, I'm like, okay, they're gonna get back into not the basics, but they're gonna get back into, the machine here. They're gonna get back into rolling things, and then maybe we'll get another album after. I wasn't expecting this to be another art album out of nowhere, especially since I know this is part of a 3-part series. Anyway, at a later date, I'm gonna give my full review on this entire album and breakdown after I've had about a week to sit down and really digest this. I really want to do that with all the albums, where I just go through them and then I just talk about it for like 20 or 30 minutes about what was cool about it and everything, without even having the music, and just really what I think the messages are and how it's resonated with me. So we're here, man. We've made it. We are there, man. This is the last one. Outro Tear. Let's do it. Oh, I don't think I've asked anybody to do this yet, but if you're new around here, please consider liking and subscribing. It would help me out a lot. I probably should have asked that like the last 15 reactions, but I forgot. So if you've seen any of those, just double subscribe for me then. All right, here we go. Oh, wait. Let's see what the Dream Team has to say about this song before I even start. Outro Tear. The lyrics have both tear and tear as in crying, and tear as in ripping apart. Okay, so it's tear as in crying and tear as in tearing apart. In the rap line song, we hear the culmination of the doubt and toxicity of the relationship. Each reaches peak, leading to the relationship end. We hear the immense pain and anger in its final song, and while it wraps up the theme of the album perfectly, it also holds a deeper meaning when the army were heartbroken to find out years later. In episode 6 of Break the Silence, Sugar shared, "What is this? The lyrics for Tear were written for the members when I was writing the melody. At the time, we were deeply contemplating whether we should quit or not." Oh shit. When I played the song for the members, we all cried together. Oh my God. Okay. All right. They are going to leave us with a bomb here, guys. They're going to leave us with a bomb. Okay. So they almost broke up. Then they heard this song. They cried and apparently they continued. Jesus. All right. I got to mentally prepare myself for this one. Here we go. Who do I know that from?
이별은 내게 태워 나도 모르게 내 눈가 위에 펴 세뇌배치 못한 얘기들이 흐르고 미련이 날 얼굴 위를 기어 내게 넌 한때는 아이디어 하지만 이제 쓰기만 한 빌 대늦은 자기 혐오로 어렵지 심장은 스치는 저 바람에는 빌 이별은 거짓뿐이던 나 영국 끝에 오고야 말았던 날 때가 누군가 시간을 되돌려준다면 어쩜 내가 좀 더 솔직할 수 있었을까 나만 아는 낡은 얼굴도 추억 초라한 내 안에 오랜 버튼도 나를 보던 그 미소로 여전히 넌 나를 그렇게 또 사랑해줄 수 있었을까
There you are, RM. I was wondering where RM has been hiding this album. He's been coming out and giving us little glimpses of his rapping and his deliveries, but I've been I feel like I've almost been missing something because I haven't heard a whole lot of him on this album yet. At least like this. I guess he was waiting to the end.
소리 좀 그만해 어차피 원래 끝은 있는 거잖아 시작이 있다면 I don't wanna listen to it 너무 많은 소리 혹은 너무 많은 위로 I don't wanna listen to it 그냥 너무 무서웠어 좀 내가 너를 사랑했던 적이 아예 없는 것 같아서 늦었지만 너 지실했다고 너만 나를 사랑했다고
Jesus.
You're my tear 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 What more can I say You're my tear 같은 곳을 향해 걸었었는데 이것이 우리의 마지막이 돼요 영원을 말하던 우리였는데요 가차없이 서로를 부시네요 같이 꿈을 꿨다 생각했는데 그 꿈은 비로소 꿈이 되어 내 심장이 찢겨져 차라리 불태워줘 고통과 미련 그 무엇도 남지 않게끔 You're my tear You're my tear You're my tear You're my tear You're my fear You're my fear What more can I say You're my Yeah 이별은 내게 TAR 눈물 따위는 사치니까 아름다운 이별 따위는 없을 테니 이제 시작해줘 Take it easy 천천히 심장을 돌려줘 그래 조각이 나버린 파편 밀어치러 밟아줘 미련 그딴 게 더는 남지 않게 갈기 찢어 밝혀버린 내 심장을 싹 불태워줘 옳지 그래 거기야 뭘 망설이니 네가 원하던 그 결말이니 망설임 없이 어서 죽여 Yeah, put it Yeah, put it Yeah, put it 타버린 채마저 남지 않게
이게 진짜 너고 이게 진짜 나야 이젠 끝을 봤고 원망도 안 남아 달던 꿈은 깼고 나는 눈을 감아 이게 진짜 너고 이게 진짜 나야
같은 곳을 향해 걸었었는데 이것이 우리의 마지막이 돼 영원을 말하던 우리였는데 가차없이 서로를 부시네 같이 꿈을 꿨다 생각했는데 그 꿈은 비로소 꿈이 되어 내 심장이 찢겨져 차라리 불태워줘 고통과 미련 그 무엇도 남지 않게끔 You're my tear You're my tear You're my tear You're my tear You're my fear You're my fear
Listen to his expression.
You're my 어떤 말을 해야 할지 우리는 알고 있지 정답은 정해 있는데
He's got a nice voice.
왜 흘리는지 왜 찢어버리는지 소용없어 내게 누울 이별은 내게 그 순간 내 폰 네 입에서 말을 하는 순간 우리의 초점이 무규칙해지는 순간 모든 게 위험한 순간에 두 글자가 준 우리의 끝 아는 끝 한 찢을 끝 그런 말을 못한다고 앞으로 나도 이별붙이 뿅
What a delivery.
나의 만나고 나의 이별 전부여서 앞으로가 freer 반복될 거야 너로 인해 태어
J-Hope. What a delivery. We are listening to that again. The expression is wild, dude. Oh my God. I mean, it's like, it's primal. It's raw. It's real. I wanted to say RM stole the show, and then I started hearing Suga singing. I'm like, oh man, that's beautiful. He's just sweeping on in there. He might be my favorite in this one. And then, but J-Hope, every single one of his lines, it seems like it was desperation. Like it was just screaming out of him. Like he was just, it was bursting out of him. Literal goosebumps, man. Literal goosebumps in this one. This might be my favorite thing from J-Hope I've heard so far. And it's just from his delivery and his expression. This feels real, man. This feels real. I love the morphing of the voices. Again, they're using their vocals as instruments. They've been doing that a lot in this album, but here they're kind of really pulling it all together. It's interesting to hear like the mixture of everything that's going on. We have the voices that's kind of working as the instruments. They also have with also a driving force on them. And then the dissonant piano, and then the cinematics kind of sneaking in. I think the cinematics are actually a sample of something. That climb there, that chord progression. I feel like I've heard that somewhere before. I mean, it's just the scale, so it can be used anywhere. I never thought that I'd miss like this rapping part, because normally it's not the thing that I resonate with. I'm normally the music and the harmony guy, but I felt like there was something lacking on this album, and I think it was a lot of RM's kind of abrasive rap style and the ciphers and things like that I've heard on albums in the past. So I was almost a little disappointed, but I kind of almost forgot about it. I'm glad that RM snuck in here towards the end and just had this insane delivery, because this is absolutely wild as well. I love that they use the piano as the bass drop here too. As a common technique in hip hop and any kind of EDM or whatever, they have like these really compressed and really almost muted down bass drops. And they do that a lot, and they have these hits. Instead of using that, they used what sounds like a low D on the piano, and then they just like let it rain out. They sustain the note out a little bit. That's pretty cool, and it kind of keeps in line with the cinematic theme. Calm down. Like that's wild. That's absolutely wild. I'm not even a fan of that kind of thing, but that's impressive. That kind of flow is impressive. Maybe I'm just an RM fan, I don't know. But Suga does that too. And he had some great expression himself. This. He is singing from his soul. Love his delivery. It's the perfect amount of rasp and almost like, I don't want to say whine, but it's kind of like that. And it just feels like it's coming from like a guttural place in him.
이것이 우리의 마지막이 돼
I mean, his voice is modulated, but it's still gorgeous.
가차없이 서로를 부수네 같이 꿈을 꾼다 생각했는데
Like, it's a modulation that's it's used for dramatic effect. It's not a crutch by any means.
꿈을 대여 내 심장이 찢겨져 차라리 불태워줘 고통과 미련 그 무엇도 남지 않게끔 You're my tear You're my tear You're my tear You're my fear You're my fear What more can I say You're my 어떤 말을 해야 할지 우리는 알고 있지
Oh god.
늘 대답은 어렵지
왜 흘리는지 왜 찢어버리는지 소용없어 내게 누울 이별은 내게 그 순간 내폰 네 입에서 말을 하는 순간 우리의 초점이 무규칙해지는 순간 모든 게 위험한 순간에 두 글자가 준 우리의 끝 아는 끝 아 찢을 끝
Oh, the scream.
늘 대답은 어렵지
왜 흘리는지
Listen to his scream in the background. It's absolutely
이별은 내게 그 순간 내폰 네 입에서 말을 하는 순간 우리의 초점이 무규칙해지는 순간 모든 게 위험한 순간에 두 글자가 준 우리의 끝 아는 끝 아 찢을 끝 그런 말을 못한다고 앞으로 나도 이별붙이 뿅뿅뿅 넌 내 시작과 끝에 네 story 나의 만나고 나의 이별 전부여서 앞으로가 freer 반복될 거야 너로 인해 태어
that might be the best verse J-Hope has ever, or in my opinion, that might be one of J-Hope's best verses he's ever delivered on a BTS album. It felt real, it felt primal, it felt guttural. I mean, and then now knowing the context of this song and knowing, you know, this is the culmination of the album. It's the apex of where everything is taken, the fears, the anxiety, the doubt, everything, and then having the double meaning of knowing that that the guys almost split up and decided to call it quits. Like, I think that's what it kind of takes to bring things to this very, very real place. I have never heard J-Hope like that, and I absolutely love it. That is, in my opinion, the best verse I've ever heard from him. But I do not want to diminish what happened between Suga and RM because what they were doing was absolutely wild as well. It was interesting to see almost Suga playing the back seat to J-Hope, almost like his, I don't want to say hype man, that's too rude, but he was kind of like playing off of J-Hope's verses in his raps and stuff. Not saying that Suga didn't have his own, and he did have some, modulated singing in the background, which is interesting too. But most of the rap line deliveries, like the fast stuff, came from like RM in the beginning. But once things got real, once they got primal, once it came to a point of like a real dark place, that's when J-Hope let it out. And to have this come from J-Hope is like the strangest part of any of it. As everybody knows, J-Hope's my dude. He's my favorite guy. He's my favorite guy because he's kind of a dorky, happy-go-lucky kind of, dork guy. And I like that. I'm that guy. I like that. All right. I resonate with that. And that's why he's my dude. But seeing him in this kind of place, get this raw, this primal, and this real, the scream in the background, like that was guttural, dude. That was better than most metal vocalist screams I've heard. And it was muted and it was in behind his thing. J-Hope could be the lead singer of a metal band. Easy. Holy shit. That was intense. What a way to end an album. This has been a journey. This album is something else. At times I was confused. At times I was very confused as to what the direction of this album was going. The second half, I had no idea what was happening. Things were cheering up a little bit. Hey, that's fine. I enjoyed the music. I enjoyed the ride, the harmonies, everything was great. I'm like, okay, well, you had this hard time and now we're moving on to something a little bit more pleasant. And there was a song for the army and things got Spanish there for a second. We had like the 90s like techno song, but then they also had songs like The Singularity, which was like oddly like, it felt like oddly intimate and oddly like seductive. Kind of creepy in a way. From the video was creepy, but like oddly seductive and eerie. That's how the album started. I'm like, okay, we're in for a trip here, man. And then Fake Love, obviously we had the hooks, it was the message behind that was beautiful. The video was wild, the BU content on that. My favorite song, I think, was The Truth Untold. Yeah, and that's something that it's a hard listen. That song got me, man. from a raw place, that I think is my favorite. But this one here, Outro Tear, is a very close contender. This is an art piece. From start to finish is an art piece, and it's an art album, and I was not expecting that. I thought we were back in the swing of things. We were back in the, all right, we're back in the machine here. We're back to just writing hit after hit after hit with a couple really cool songs in the mix, but I wasn't expecting another Wings era album. I wasn't expecting that. Usually they do like 2 or 3 of those in between. No, they did one. They did Her. They're like, okay, here's a little taste of all that stuff. Everybody calm down. We're still, you know, we're still this thing. And then like, psych, we're gonna break you. We're gonna break you down. And this album, at some parts did. This somehow, at some parts in this album, I legit had to hold back from like breaking down. I resonated with some of the content on this. And then at some parts, I'm like, okay, I'm just bopping around. I'm just dancing here. Okay. Love Yourself Tear or Tear. I still don't know. I think this is the longest reaction I've ever done because I've taken little breaks in between just to kind of digest and go for a walk and just kind of let the music sit with me for a little while. And there are some parts about this reaction that I've done in this way that I love, having the time to do it, not worrying about entertaining people or keeping, you know, like things moving forward or, you know, keeping an eye on, you know, lag issues and stuff like that. That was really nice. But god dang, did I miss having you guys here for this journey. I would have loved to experience this live with you guys, but at least I have these recordings that I can share with you. But this is wild, man. This is another art album. What's part 3 of this like? Where do they go? Just when I think I understand BTS and I understand this band, the direction they're going and what they're doing with music, and I understand their angle or whatever, they throw a wrench in my whole way of thinking. Love Yourself Tear. It was confusing, it was beautiful, it was heart-wrenching, it was guttural and primal, and it's a total piece of art. I loved it. And I hope you enjoyed my reactions, and I guess that's all I gotta say about this one. That's gonna do it for me tonight, guys. You guys have yourself a fantastic night. Thank you for sticking around. Oh, you're not even here. Thank you for watching all of my stuff. You guys are the best, and I'm really, really sorry about what happened with today's stream. Trust me, that hurts. I'm incredibly embarrassed, and I feel horrible that I wasn't able to do this live, but it was out of my control. But I hope you enjoyed the videos at least, and you guys have a fantastic night. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. I keep forgetting to do that. You guys are the best, seriously. Bye, everybody.